Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to the whole entire house, the whole entire Ba'ith of Yasha'al, to the elder brother, Yahudah, to the younger brother, Ephraim, to the former stranger, the former foreigner who was formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant, but having received the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach HaKadosh, the Ruach of Hamashiach, Yahusha Hamashiach, whereby having been engrafted into the olive tree, who is Yahusha Hamashiach, who is Yasha'al, and now whereby having been engrafted into the olive tree, you have now whereby become fellow citizens of the house of the nation of Yasha'al, and now privy to the same covenant, everlasting covenant, promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shabbat Shalom to the whole Ba'ith, the whole house of Yasha'al, all 12 tribes, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this most Kadush Yom, to both you and the stranger attached to us. Shabbat Shalom to you, peace and blessings, Shalom and Barakut to you and your entire house. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom on this most Kadush Yom, which is a sign and a seal and a mark of the everlasting covenant that Yahuwah has made with his people. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Once again, to those of you who are on YouTube, who will listen to this message, this teaching later on, we are grateful once again that the Master has sent you our way. We do not take this for granted. Truly, we do not. We are grateful and humbled that the Master has sent you here to hear his words that are being spoken through the mouth of this earthen vessel, this piece of dirt, this hunk of dirt, of whom he has chosen to speak through. Once again, we are grateful that you have stopped by to celebrate the Shabbat Yom with Yahuwah's remnant on this day. Indeed, I am Dawood Ban Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha Ashayah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to you. Shabbat Shalom. Again, for those of you who are on YouTube who would desire to join us live, you may find our contact information. It is located in the channel description. You will find an email address there that you may use to contact us, to establish contact if you indeed desire to worship with us live or rest with us live, either on the Shabbat Yom or on the 4th day of the week during our 4th day gatherings, otherwise known on Wednesdays. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Nevertheless, there is a word from the Master. There is a word from our Master Yahuwah. He indeed is our Master. He is our sovereign. There is no Elohim but him. There is no sovereign but him. He and he alone is our sovereign. He came in flesh in the person of Yahusha Hamashiach, who came via the loins of sovereign Dawood in order to establish his throne in the earth forever, so that in accordance with the Torah, in accordance with the word that he spoke to sovereign Dawood, and that because of his obedience and his trustworthiness, that he would never lack a man to sit on the throne, that he would never lack a man to sit on the throne. And thus, Yahusha coming as a descendant of Dawood and being heir to the throne of Dawood, coming in flesh, and thus establishing his throne on earth, establishing his throne on earth in order to rule over his people as sovereign and Elohim. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Please mute your mics. Please follow instructions and ensure that your mics are muted. Tudah. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. There is a word from the Master. There is a word from the Master, and we are grateful for the word that he has spoken thus far to us. We're not going to go very far back. If you are new to the channel, well, you got a lot of catching up to do. This is going to be what, part 56, little one?
Yes, sir.
You got a lot of catching up to do, and so I encourage you to do so. To not start here, but to at least start at Pesach, so that you're caught up with respect to how it applies for this Mu'adah, how it applies for this appointed time. So I would encourage you to at least start there with the teachings leading up to Pesach before you come here, because there's a lot of meat. There's a lot of digestible, chewable meat that you need to get before getting to part 56 of Searching for the Ancient Path. Indeed, if you're taking notes, this is Searching for the Ancient Path, part 56. Searching for the Ancient Path, part 56. Walk in thy calling. Walk in thy calling. Yahudah goes first. Yahudah goes first. Indeed, for the past 2 Shabbats and the past 4th day, the Master has shown us, he has laid a foundation, and he is indeed given us an understanding that indeed it is factual in accordance with the scriptures that Yahudah, the elder son, the elder daughter, is to be given away in marriage first. Yahudah indeed will go first. And indeed, he is coming soon in this season, not some other season, in this season, to gather his elder daughter, his elder son, to be joined into marriage with him. He has shown us line upon line, precept upon precept, that indeed Yahudah is the 144,000 which will be redeemed from the earth. Yahudah is the 144,000 plus those that are joined to us. Yahudah is the elder son, is the elder daughter, which will be redeemed from the earth first and saved from the hour of trial and joined into marriage with the Master. Seems like a small number. Indeed, this too is the text. This too is scripture. When we go to Isaiah, Yeshayahu, I believe it is around the 64th chapter, when it speaks of the barren woman. Indeed, the barren woman is Rakal, because Rakal was barren for a long, long time, until she bore Yahusuf and then Bunyamin. But she was barren for a long, long time, a very long time. In that same text, it speaks of the deserted one. The deserted one is the grandson of Rakal. The deserted one is Ephraim. Why is Ephraim deserted? Because Ephraim was divorced. Yes, he was. Ephraim was divorced. It speaks of the deserted one, and then it speaks of the married woman. The married woman is Yahudah, because technically Yahudah was never divorced. Yahudah was put away, but Yahudah was never divorced, albeit Ephraim was. And so, in that same text, it speaks that the children of the barren woman will far exceed those of the married woman. The children of the barren woman again being Rakal, and her children being Ephraim. The married woman again being Yahudah. The barren woman's children, Ephraim is who? Is the lost 10 tribes of Yashar'al. The lost 10 tribes of Yashar'al is described as the completeness of the nations in accordance with Genesis 48, the 48th chapter and verse 19. Ephraim is the completeness of the nations. In other words, Ephraim is every nation, tribe, and tongue, as we find coming out of the great distress in Revelation 7, verses 9 through 17. Ephraim is the completeness of the nations, every nation, tribe, and tongue. And as it is described in Revelation 7, it says there that there is a great multitude coming there, that coming out of the great distress, unable to be numbered. And so Ephraim, the children of the barren woman, will far exceed the children of the married woman, Yahudah. And thus a small number of the elder daughter, of the elder son, a small number, 144,000, in whom he has promised to save and to keep from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth, will be joined to him in marriage first, in accordance with what he has shown us this past fourth day with respect to Genesis, the 29th chapter. As the elder daughter was given away in marriage first, the elder daughter being La'ah, who is the mother of Yahudah. And then the younger daughter was given in marriage, who is the mother of Yahudah, who is the father of Ephraim. And thus, in accordance with the word, in accordance with Torah, the elder daughter, Yahudah, is to go first, is to be married first, is to be joined to the master first. You see, this is all, we're speaking about marriage, because this is all about marriage. But to give you a better understanding, for those of you who don't understand it, who don't understand, this is ultimately about covenant. Marriage equals covenant. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. This is ultimately about covenant. To be more specific, this is about the renewing of the covenant, of the everlasting covenant. Yes, it is. This is about the renewing of the everlasting covenant, in which he is going to renew the everlasting covenant with his elder daughter first, and then with the younger daughter who's still behaving as a Gentile, who is still operating in uncleanness, who is still operating in filth, who is still far away from the master, who is still who still will not let go of her idols, who still will not let go of her flesh. And so because of this, as the younger daughter, as the younger son, where it is said to what? To spare not the rod. If you spare the rod, then you don't love the child. Where it is said, train up a child in the way that he should go, so that when he's old, he will not depart. And because the younger son, the younger daughter, will not turn from her filth right now, will not turn from her uncleanness and turn back to the righteous Torah, he is going to have to send a chastising rod in the form of the great distress, and which is also called YAHUAH'S trouble, or YAHUAH'S distress, and which is commonly called by the Gentiles the great tribulation. You see, this is judgment. This is chastisement sent upon the head of the younger son, the younger daughter, in order to correct him, in order to correct her, in order to turn her from her filth, turn her from her unrighteousness back to his righteous Torah, which is cleanness. And so now, he is calling upon his elder son, his elder daughter, Yahudah, who is no longer walking in filth, no longer walking in uncleanness, who is walking in accordance with his elder status, walking as an adult. Indeed, the master has shown us that to walk in the flesh is to walk as a child, as Ephraim is currently walking. But to walk in accordance with the Ruach is to walk as a full-grown man or a full-grown woman. And this is what he is expecting of Yahudah in this season. To walk in accordance with the Ruach, to grow up and to walk as a man, to be as a light amongst the Gentiles, to be a living Torah, to be a living menorah, so as to show them by example what it looks like to walk in righteousness, to show them by example what it looks like to be a fruit-bearing tree during a time of famine, a light-producing rock during a time of darkness, and a water-producing rock during a time of drought. We are to be an example to our younger brother. We are to be an example to little buddy. We are to be an example to our younger sister, so that through us, perhaps, through the light that is emanating from us, that light would draw them out of darkness as moths are drawn to candles, and that perhaps they would be restored to covenant with him, and that perhaps they would be saved from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. And so he is calling now upon the elder brother, the elder daughter, of whom he wants to renew his covenant with first, and bring us to his Kadosh mountain, Mount Zion. He's calling upon us to walk worthily of our status, to walk in our callings, to walk not according to the flesh, but according to the Ruach, so that he may use us for his purposes. He is calling us to hear him, to work while it is still day, because night comes, distress comes, chaos comes, wickedness comes, darkness comes, when no man can work. When no man can work. Our time has sped up and we are running out of time. And he is calling for us to do work now, to work while it is still day, because night is coming when no man can work. He has also sent forth this warning that if we are not working, found well doing, then he is going to, especially to those of us who make the boastful claim that we are the elder son. And in order to be the elder son is not the elder son according to the flesh. You must be born from above to be considered his elder son. As in the words when he spoke to Nicodemus, not the man, when he said, truly, truly, I say unto you, that unless one is born from above, he cannot see the reign of Elohim. Indeed, there were Yahudine, that the master, his taught ones, sent into the nations. These were Yahudine. Each one of them, every one of them, were born of Ruach, were born of spirit, were born of breath. Indeed, in order to be considered full grown, we must be born of water and of root. If we're still operating in our flesh, we're operating as Gentiles. We're operating as Pharisees. And the master has declared that if you're walking in your flesh, then the devil, Hashatan, is your father. He is your master. Because Yahuwah is the father of righteousness. Hashatan is the father of unrighteousness. Yahuwah is Ruach. He is not flesh and blood. He is not flesh and blood. And in order to be considered his son, his elder son, you must be born from his loins. You must be born of water and of Ruach and not of flesh and blood. You must be born, reborn, in a similar manner of which his firstborn son, yes, this is what it's all about, the reconciliation of his firstborn, Adam, mankind. We must be reborn in a similar manner in which he was born, not of flesh, not of blood, but of Elohim, of water and of Ruach. We must be reborn in a similar manner in which Yahudah himself, coming as firstborn, coming as Adam, as the second Adam, coming as Yahudah, was not conceived of flesh and blood, but of Ruach, being born perfect, so that he could be presented as a perfect offering, as a perfect lamb, slain before the foundation of the earth. Yes, there are many who claim to be Yahudine. But unless you are born of flesh and blood, you are amongst Ephraim. You are amongst Ephraim. You are amongst the nations. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. No unclean thing can come near my Father. And the only way that we can guard his righteous Torah, which teaches us to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean. The only way that we can guard his righteous Torah is this in Ruach and in truth. So he's calling. There is an urgency that is going to the four corners of the earth, to Yahudah. Grow up, Yahudah. Grow up. You say you've received breath. We're now 4 weeks back from Shabuah. You say you've received breath. That means that you're grown now. No more excuses. You cannot be children no more. You've got to be grown now. You've got to act like the elder son and be an example to the nations. You've got to be an example to your younger brother, to your younger sister who is still living riotously among the nations. You've got to be an example to her, that perhaps some of them will come out of the nations and attach themselves to Yahudah. Yea, unless you attach yourself to Yahudah, the elder Ark, you will not be saved from the hour of trial. You must be attached and enjoined to the elder brother, to the elder daughter, in order to be saved from the hour of trial. And to be attached to us means to be born just like us and to walk just like us. not born of flesh and blood, but born of Ruach, but born of water and of Ruach, having the Torah written upon the heart, and walking as living Torahs, living lights, living menorahs, walking this ancient path, this narrow path, in which if we walk will lead us to Mount Zion, and which we will be given a song that no one else can sing. The elder daughter is to be rejoined in marriage first. This is about the renewal of the everlasting covenant. This is about marriage, the renewing of the everlasting covenant, in which he is promised in the text to renew it with Yahudah first. With Yahudah first. And remove us from this place. Remove us from this wicked place. And rejoin us in marriage to him. How can you seek to rejoin yourself in marriage, Zoom family, when you can't even follow instructions? The instruction was given to monitor your mites. How can you aspire to join him on Mount Zion when you can't even obey in simple instructions here? Come on, Yahudah, grow up. Grow up. Gird your loins. Be men and be women. Grow up and be that light amongst the Gentiles. And that starts with obeying simple instructions. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Nevertheless, here we are again on this ancient path. That was just a brief review of what the Master has revealed to us thus far. And thus we're now on this same path, searching for the ancient path, part 56. Walking, not calling. Yahudah goes first. Yahudah goes first. But the Master has a warning. This has been established. He's coming to get the elder daughter first. The elder daughter is given away in marriage first. This is established. Genesis 29. This is established. The elder daughter is to be given away in marriage first. Revelation 3. Revelation 7. Revelation 14. The elder daughter is to be given away first. Zechariah chapter 12. The elder daughter is to be given away first. Is to be taken from this place first and brought to his Kadush mountain and then brought back into the land first. And it is written in the text. We're going to go through this line by line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, that the nations now, at least for now, you must attach yourselves to Yahudah. You must attach yourselves to Yahudah. Ephraim is divorced. Ephraim is divorced. They're still divorced unless they attach themselves to Yahudah. The Master's going to explain this more. He's going to explain this in more detail. Unless Ephraim attaches themselves to Yahudah, they're still divorced. They're still divorced. And so for now, if you desire to be saved from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon this earth, you must attach yourselves to Yahudah. You must attach yourselves to Yahudah, because deliverance indeed is of the Yahudine. Deliverance is of the Yahudine. He dwells in the midst of the Yahudine. Indeed, he inhabits the praises of his people, as Yahudah means praise. He dwells in the midst of Yahudah, where his Ha'iko is. His Ha'iko is in the midst of his people, Yahudah. His Ha'iko is in the midst of the Yahudine. And so you must, if you desire to be saved in this season, in this Mu'adah, you must attach yourselves to Yahudah. But the Master has sent warning that not all who call themselves Yahudine are Yahudine. Not all who call themselves Yahudine are Yahudine. He's sending warning to you nations. He's even sending warning to you so-called Yahudim. Not all who call themselves Yahudim are Yahudim. And so it is too important. This is too important of a season to connect and join yourselves with the wrong people. This is too important of a season. You will find yourself left behind with Ephraim to be corrected in the fires of the great distress. You must use discernment. You must be sensitive to the voice of the Master. You must have the Torah written upon your heart in order to discern the spirits and in order to discern who is Yahudah and who is not. Who is Yahudah and who is not. So the master, he wants to briefly help us out a little bit this day. And then we're going to get back into, or he's going to get back into, or back on the path of showing us now that you must attach to Yahudah if you desire to be delivered in this season. And prayerfully, he is going to show us and to reveal to us why. So line upon line, precept upon precept, searching for the ancient path, part 56, walking not calling, Yahudah goes first. With that said, little one, give us a precept.
2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5.
Listen, 2 Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5. 2 Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5. You see, even Timotheus was a Yahudi. Yes, he was. I know some would say he was a Gentile because his father was a Greek and his mother was a Yahudi. But the masters tried to tell you that you ain't a Yahudi according to the flesh. No, you are Yahudi according to Ruach. According to Ruach are you a Yahudi. He is renewing his covenant. He is sealing Yahudah in this season and renewing his covenant with them. How does he renew his covenant? Or with us? How does he renew his covenant? In the same way in which a man enters into covenant with a woman. When he enters her, when he becomes one flesh, when he has relations, when he has sex with her, when he enters her and becomes one flesh with her, he enters into covenant with her. In the same way, when the master enters us with his ruach, in the way that a man enters a woman with his breath, with his ruach, he enters into covenant with us. Yes, he does. He renews his covenant with us. And in accordance with the text, he is doing this with the house of Yahudah now. Yes, do not harm the earth or the tree or the grass or the seeds until ye have sealed my people upon their foreheads. And that number is 144,000 Yahudine. Yahudine. All of these are Yahudine. Inclusive in this 144,000 is Yahudah and those who are attached to us. All who are attached to us are Yahudine. Yes, you are. No different than all who lived in the land of Yahudah were Yahudine. All who are attached to us, where the dwelling place of the master dwells, you are Yahudi. You are Yahudine. Barak Yahuwah. 2 Timotheus chapter 3, verses 1 through 5, beginning at verse 1. Come on, read for us, little one.
But know this.
Yes.
That in the last days,
come on,
hard times shall come.
Yes.
For men shall be lovers of self.
Listen, that's not a Yahudi. You see one that is a lover of himself, that loves the camera, that loves attention, that loves to focus on himself or herself, that always has to have the spotlight. That's not a Yahudi. No, the Messiah did not lift up his voice in the streets. He did not want his name to be known. He said when he would heal, he said, I go to the priest and show yourself. Don't let them know what I have done. He was a Yahudi. Yes, he was. He was a Yahudi man. And his taught ones were Yahudi men. They were Yahudim, and they were the same way. They were quiet men. They were calm men. This is not a Yahudi. This is Ephraim. This is someone who is operating according to the flesh. Come on, read, little one.
Lovers of silver.
Lovers of money. Come on.
Boasters.
Boasters. Come on.
Proud.
Proud. Oh, my family. My family. How many proud folk you know? The earth now is infested with proud folk. It's infested with them. And he resists the proud. The master still resists the proud. If you are proud, you do not have his ruach, and you are not a Yahudi. He is showing you, family, how to discern who is a Yahudi and who is Ephraim. Come on, read.
Blasphemers.
Blasphemers.
Disobedient to parents.
Disobedient to parents.
Thankless.
Thankless.
Wrongdoers.
Wrongdoers.
Unloving.
Unloving. Listen. Unloving. There are many who say that I love you. There are many who say that I love you. And indeed, they may show some works of love. We're going to talk about this in the next text. They may show some works of love, but that does not mean that they love you. That does not mean that they love you. Hear him. The only way that we can love is from a pure place. It's from the heart which has been circumcised by the Ruach. Some people will try and show you love just to get next to you. And in this season, contrary Ruachs will try to get next to you. You see, there are mimicking Ruachs amongst us. Yes, there are. There are mimicking counterfeit Ruachs amongst us who have a form of love to get next to you and who will try to deceive you. There are religious spirits amongst us. There are Kundalini spirits amongst us. There are witches and sorcerers. There are necromancers amongst us. Yes, there are. If you got eyes to see and a heart to understand, there are amongst us. If he has given you eyes to see dead folk, you can clearly see them. They're trying to hide amongst us. But I'm not fooled, because the master has given me eyes to see dead folk. But they are content with trying to hide. But I pray, if they don't repent this day, I pray the judgmental fires of Yahuwah all Shaddai upon their heads. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of these counterfeit mimicking Ruachs. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of these necromancers and witches and sorcerers trying to operate amongst us and trying to behave like they are with us. You are not with us. The master sees you and he's giving me eyes to see dead folk. Trying to act like you love somebody. Overcompensating. Overemphasizing. With your hyperbole. Trying to cover up your steps. Trying to cover up your tracks. You ain't hiding. The master sees you. And unless you repent, I pray the fire of Yahuwah upon your head. He ain't playing with you no more, and I'm not playing. Barak Yahuwah, come on, read little one.
Unforgiving.
Unforgiving.
Slanderers.
Slanderers. How many Yahudine do you know that are slanderers? I know many. I know many that have slandered me. You're not a Yahudine. You are Ephraim. You are the nations. This is what Gentiles do. You are not Ephraim. You are not Yahudah. You are Ephraim. A Yahudine will come to a fellow Yahudine and settle a matter before slandering him. You are not a Yahudine. You are Ephraim. You are the nations operating according to your flesh. Come on, read little one.
Without self-control.
Without self-control. How many folk you know have no self-control? Always running off at the mouth with diarrhea of the mouth with no self-control over the words they speak. Mouth just flooded with diarrhea. Unstoppable diarrhea. Because they have no self-control, which is the fruit of the Ruach. They're not calm. They're not quiet. They're not perfect like the master. Having his nature and his character. They're not quiet at all. Always running off at the mouth. Understand, Zion. Understand the fruit. They're walking around right before your eyes with fig leaves on. Discern that they are naked. And they're trying to cover up their nakedness right in front of you. They're trying to hide their nakedness in front of you, putting fig leaves, but they're still naked. If you got eyes to see and a discernment to understand. Come on, read little one.
Fears, haters of good, betrayers, reckless, puffed up lovers of pleasure.
Puffed up and lovers of pleasure. These so-called Hebrews with 4 and 5 wives living under the same roof, being out of order. You out of order. That's not Torah. You've got to be able to provide for them individually, giving them their own households. You out of order. You have them to satisfy your own wicked flesh. You got to hire them in your house to satisfy your own wicked desires. Lovers of pleasure. You're not a Yahudine. You're Ephraim. You're among the nations. Ephraim doesn't even live that way. Ephraim, most of them are in these Christian churches, and they frown on activity like that. You just a heathen. You're not even Ephraim. You're just a heathen. Calling yourself a Yahudine. You're not a Yahudine. A Yahudine is righteous. A Yahudine is a priest of Yahuwah Elohim. He is a Kahan in the order of Melchizedek. You're not a priest. You're not a Kahan. You're a wicked heathen. Come on, read, little one.
Rather than lovers of Elohim, having a form of reverence.
Having a form of reverence. Having a form of worship. Having a form of obedience. And unless you have the Ruach HaKodesh indwelling inside of you, you only have a form of reverence, a form of worship, a form of obedience. And you are not a Yahudine. Yahudah is being sealed in this season with the Ruach HaKodesh. He has been sealed to be kept from the hour of trial. Having a form of reverence, read.
But denying its power.
But denying its power.
And turn away from these.
Turn away, Zion. Turn away from these. Turn away. This season is too urgent. Turn away from these. This season is too urgent to be caught outside in the wintertime wearing shorts and flip-flops, unprepared. Turn away from these. Turn away. Line by line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Yahudah goes first. Walking, not calling, Yahudah goes first. Not all who say they are Yahudine are Yahudine. Give us another precept, little one.
1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 13.
1 Corinthians 13. 1 Corinthians 13. A letter written by a Yahudine. I know he's from the tribe of Benjamin, but I told you, everyone living in the land of Yahudah were Yahudine. If you are a citizen of Yahudah, you are a Yahudine. Even though he's from the tribe of Benjamin, he is a Yahudine. He is a Yahudine. Listen to the words of a Yahudine. First Corinthians chapter 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read for us, little one.
If I speak with the tongues of men.
If I speak with the tongues of men.
And of messengers.
And of messengers.
But do not have love.
But do not have love.
I have become as sounding brass.
I have become as sounding brass.
Or a clinging cymbal.
Or a clinging cymbal. You see, there are many who operate, who have silver tongues. There are many folk who can speak very well. I'm not one of them. I speak with a country drawl, but that's all right. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. He has deemed me worthy. He has deemed this old country boy, this old hawk of dirt, to be used as a vessel fit for him, fit for use of him. But some folk have a silver tongue. They speak very well, but unless they have love, it's nothing. And you can't have love unless love dwells in you. Yahuwah is love, is he not, little one?
Yes,
Barak Yahuwah. You can't love unless love dwells in you. Come on, read, little one.
And if I have prophecy.
Yes.
And know all secrets.
Yes.
And all knowledge.
Yes.
And if I have all belief.
Yes.
So as to remove mountains.
Yes.
But do not have love.
But do not have love.
I am none at all.
I am none at all. Does he not say? In Matthew the 7th chapter, beginning somewhere around the 21st verse, he says, many will call on my name in that day. Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out devils in your name? Have we not performed many miracles in your name? What does he say, little one? Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. What does he say? I never knew you. In other words, I never had Janosco with you. I never had relations with you. I never had sex with you. I never entered you as a man enters a woman and thus knowing you. And thus entering your heart, and thus love entering your heart. So it is possible, indeed, to prophesy, to cast out devils, to perform miracles without having love in you, without having him having known you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there are many, the master is teaching you today to watch out, Sion. Not all who say that they are Yahudim are Yahudine. No. You test the fruit. Not all of them who say that they are Yahudim are Yahudine. And in this time and in this season, it is too urgent to be fooled. you find yourself in the valley of oh no, saying oh no, as son Balak was trying to lure Nakamyah into the valley of oh no to do him harm. But Nakamyah, having discernment, said, no, I will not go out there with you. Had he gone out there with him, and if some of you go out with these son Balaks who want to build with you, who want to work alongside you, saying we worship the same Elohim, you mess around and you go out to the valley of oh no, you will find yourself saying, oh no, how did I get here? How did I get left behind to face the fires of the great distress in the valley of oh no? Come on, read little one.
And if I give out all my possessions to feed the poor.
Yes.
And if I give my body to be burned.
Yes.
But do not have love.
But do not have true love, and having love dwelling inside of you. Come on.
I am not profited at all.
I am not profited at all. Some pretend to love Zion just to get amongst us and to get next to you, to suck and to draw the anointing from you, and to pretend like they have an anointing. You have an anointing. Yes, you do. You have an anointing, but it's not the anointing. You have a ruach, but it is not ha ruach. And the master, being not fast and not quick to judge, not wanting anyone to perish, is giving you an opportunity to tashuba, to repent of your wicked ways. You are not hidden. He sees you. And he's given his servant eyes to see dead folk. Yes, he has. I see you. I see you, necromancer. I see you, witches and sorcerers. I see you, religious spirit. These are mimicking spirits. They are counterfeits. They are fakes. They're not the real thing. I see you. And so does the master. Tashuba. Repent. Just because you are attached to Yahudah doesn't mean that you're going to be, that the covenant's going to be renewed in you and you're going to be brought to his Kadosh mountain. You got to walk as Judah walks. You got to walk as a Yahudine. Not according to your wicked flesh, but according to HaRuach. Barak Yahuwah. Come on, read little one.
Love is patient.
Yes.
Is kind.
Yes.
Love does not envy.
Uh-huh.
Love does not boast.
Yes.
Is not puffed up.
Yes.
Does not behave indecently.
Uh-huh.
Does not seek his own.
Come on.
Is not provoked.
Be aware, Zion. Listen. Listen. I know you know folk like this. Stop pretending. Stop ignoring the fruit. This season, this Muadah is too important for you to ignore the fruit. Come out from among them. Turn away from such as these. Turn away from such as these. Come on, read, little one.
Reckons not the evil.
Yeah.
Does not rejoice over the unrighteous.
Uh-huh.
But rejoices in the truth.
Yes.
It covers all.
Yes.
Believes all.
Yes.
Expects all.
Yes.
Endures all.
Yes.
Love never fails.
Uh-huh.
And whether there be prophecies,
come on,
they shall be inactive.
Uh-huh.
Or tongues,
yes,
they shall cease.
Yes.
Or knowledge,
yes,
it shall be inactive.
Yes.
For we know in part,
come on,
and we prophesy in part.
Come on.
But when that which is perfect has come,
on,
then that which is in part shall be inactive.
Come on.
When I was a child,
listen, when I was a child,
I spoke as a child.
I spoke as a child. The master is calling Yahudah to grow up in this season. Come out of these ways. Come out of your flesh. If you are a Yahudine, come out of your flesh and walk according to HaRuach. Walk according to your calling. Be an adult in this season. I'll be left behind with Ephraim. Be left behind with little buddy. Be left behind with the heathen and be left behind with the nations. Come on, read, little one.
I thought as a child.
I thought as one.
I reasoned as a child.
I reasoned as one.
But when I became a man.
But when I became a man.
I did away with childish matters.
I did away with childish matters, and you become a man, Yahudah. When the Ancient of Days, who has no beginning and who has no end, who is the Aleph and the Top, that before anything was created, he walked to and fro in eternity. When you have the Ancient of Days indwelling in you, You become a man, you become a woman. And then you are expected to walk as the elder son, as the elder daughter, to be an example to the younger ones, to be a light amongst the Gentiles and the nations, to perhaps deliver them and save them from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. And it's not, and even if not that, so that they remember an example when they're going through the great distress. They remember what righteousness looks like when they're going through the hour of trial. Come on, read, little one.
For now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, as I also have been known. And now belief, expectation, and love remain.
But the
these
greatest?
three. But the greatest of these is love.
When love is in you, who is Yahuwah, who is the Ruach HaKadosh, then you can love. Otherwise, it's a fake, counterfeit love. It's not real love. The only way to love, which is Torah, is to have love in you, to have the Torah, to have love written upon the heart. This is the only way to truly love. And there are many calling themselves prophets. There are many who are calling themselves teachers, or muraz, or mores. There are many who are calling themselves shalach ones, who are calling themselves emissaries or ambassadors or shalach ones. There are many who are calling themselves shepherds. There are many who are calling themselves these things in this season, but the Master has not called them. The Master has not chosen them. Recognize the fruit. Recognize the fruit. Not all who call themselves these things, not all who call themselves Yahudine or Yahudine. It is of uttermost importance that you recognize this in this season. Come on, give us another precept, little one.
Yeah, 1 John chapter 3. You'll tell me when it's done.
1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3. Not all who say that they are Yahudine or Yahudine. Indeed, the Master is calling you nations. He's calling you Ephraim to attach yourselves to a Yahudine, to attach yourselves to Yahudah in this season. He's calling you to attach yourselves to Yahudah in this season if you desire to escape the hour of trial. But he's also sent forth warning that not all who call themselves Yahudine are in fact Yahudine. Not all who call themselves Yahudine are in fact Yahudine. 1 John chapter 3, Yahukanan Allah chapter 3. Yahukanan Allah chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3. Chapter 3. We're going to read until I tell little one to stop. 1 John chapter 3. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
See what love the Father has given us.
Yes.
That we should be called children of Elohim.
That we should be called children of Elohim. Those who are children of Elohim have been born of Elohim. Not of flesh, not of blood, but of water and of Ruach. Another letter written by Yahudine. Another letter written by a Yahudine. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Only those who were born of water and of spirit are children of Elohim. Come on, read.
For this reason, the world does not know us.
For this reason, the world don't know us. Even those so-called Yahudim, they don't know us. They slander us. They talk about us. They want to do stuff to us because they don't know us. Because their father is the devil and our father is Elohim. We're not from this world. We've been reborn from above and dust. As they did not know the Master, who was the bread from Shamayim, who was the Lakam Shamayim that came down from above. They did not know him. And those of us who have his Ruach, the Ruach of the Mashiach, they don't know us either. Come on, read.
Because it did not know him.
Yes.
Beloved ones, now we are children of Elohim. And it has not yet been revealed what we shall be.
Yes.
But we know that when he is revealed,
Yes.
we shall be like him.
Come on.
For we shall see him as he is.
Uh-huh.
And everyone having this expectation
And
in
everyone having this expectation does what, little one?
cleanses himself
Cleanses himself from what, little one?
as he is clean.
As he is clean. You cleanse yourself. You do not walk as the example in 2 Timothy. You do not walk as that example. You walk in accordance with Ruach. You walk in the newness of life, in cleanness, in Torah, having the Torah written upon your heart. And you fight tooth and nail to stay in that which is clean and to avoid all that which is unclean, avoiding even the appearance of that which is unclean. Come on, read little one.
Everyone doing crime also does lawlessness.
Everyone doing crime, everyone doing sin does lawlessness. Recognize the fruit. Stop ignoring the fruit. Recognize it. And depart from such as these. Turn away from such as these. Come on, read.
And crime is lawlessness.
And crime is Torahlessness. Read.
And you know that he was manifested to take away our crimes.
He was manifested to take away our crimes, our sins. Read.
And in him there is no crime.
And in him is no crime. And so if he is in you and you are in him, there should be no crime in you. You should be unleavened as he is unleavened. Recognize the fruit. Do not make excuses talking about this is a process. Recognize the fruit. Only those who are blameless and perfect and maidens, symbolizing purity and perfection, are going to Mount Zion. Only these are going to Mount Zion. If they ain't operating that way, Zion, turn away from these. This season is too important. It's too important. Recognize the fruit and turn away from such as these. Read.
Everyone staying in him does not commit crime.
Ah, you thought those were my words, didn't you? Everyone staying in Yahuwah does not commit crime. He ain't making no excuses. Does not commit crime. Turn away from such as these that are making excuses. Read, little one.
Everyone committing crime has neither seen him.
Everyone committing crime has never seen him.
Nor known him.
Nor known him. Read.
Little children, let no one lead you astray.
Come on. He is speaking through his servant today and speaking through the words of another Yahudine. Little children, let no one lead you astray. Read, little one.
The one doing righteousness.
The one doing righteousness.
Is righteous.
Is righteous.
Even as he is righteous.
Even as he is righteous. Do not ignore the fruit. This season is too important. Read, little one.
The one committing crime is of the devil.
The one what?
The one committing crime is of the devil.
The scripture here, this letter declares that the one doing crime, the one doing Torahlessness is of the devil. He is not a Yahudine. He is a wicked heathen. He is not a Yahudine. Recognize the fruit. Read, little one.
Because the devil has committed crime from the beginning.
Because the devil has committed crime from the beginning.
For this purpose.
For this purpose.
The Son of Elohim was manifested.
The Son of Elohim was manifested.
To destroy the works of the devil.
To destroy the works of the devil. If he is in you, whom the Son sets free, is free indeed. If he is in you, he has destroyed the works of the devil, which is sin. He deceived Adam. He deceived them and Kua into committing crime, into disobeying the Torah, the righteous command of the Master. This is the work of the devil. And thus sin entered the world, and thus sin entered the flesh, and thus the flesh was sold to Hashatan. The flesh, we were sold into bondage to sin. We were sold into bondage to Hashatan. But he whom the Son sets free is free indeed. His Ruach sets us free from bondage, sets us free from sin, sets us free from darkness, sets us free from Hashatan. Thus you have no excuse to walk in the fruitless works of darkness, to make excuses talking about I'm a work in progress. No, you making those excuses, you are speaking contrarily to the word, and you are not a Yahudine. You are not a Yahudine. No, you're not. No, you're not. You are not a Yahudine. Come on, read, little one.
Everyone having been born of Elohim.
Everyone having been born of Elohim. Read.
Does not commit crime.
You can stop right there. Does not commit crime. Does not commit crime. Do not yoke yourself with anyone who is operating in crime. They are not a Yahudine. They are not a Yahudine. No, they're not. No, they're not. And you've got to be careful, Sion, in this appointed time, not to yoke yourself with the wrong people who are calling themselves Yahudine. Indeed, deliverance is of the Yahudine, inclusive of deliverance in this season, being delivered and saved from the hour of trial. It is of the Yahudine. And if you desire to be delivered in this season and saved from the hour of trial, you must connect yourself. You must be joined with the elder daughter, with the elder son, the one of whom the marriage is to be renewed first in. You must connect yourself with Yahudah. But not all who say that they are Yahudine are Yahudine. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Not all who say that they are Yahudim are Yahudine. Indeed, we must connect ourselves. You must connect yourself with Yahudah in order to be delivered and saved in this season. And if you are Yahudah, walk worthily of your calling. Walk as an adult. Walk in thy calling. If you want to go first, walk in thy calling. Be found well doing. Be found well doing so that when the master comes with his rewards, he will reward you according to your works. And you will not be bound hand and foot as a lazy, wicked servant and cast into the outer darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Give us another precept, little one.
1 John chapter 5.
1 John, Yahudah Alaf, chapter 5.
You'll tell me when to stop.
1 John, Yahudah Alaf, chapter 5. 1 John, Yahudah Alaf, chapter 5. By this will you know my taught ones, by their love for one another. By their love for one another. True love does not resemble the love of the world. True love does not even resemble the giving of things, because as we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, you can give all your possessions away and not have love. Unless love is in you, Yahuwah all Shaddai. Yahuwah, who is love, having written love upon your heart. Love is Torah. Yes, it is. Having written the Torah upon your heart, you can't love. You can't love. And there are many amongst us who are masquerading as those who love you, but they can't love you because love ain't in them. Either they are masquerading as Yahudim, or they are masquerading as those who are attached to Yahudah. Just masquerading, mimicking, counterfeiting, having a religious spirit, counterfeiting, having kundalini spirits, having spirits of divination, spirits of fortune telling. Even indeed, some of the things they say may come true. Indeed, the master forewarned us of this as well in his righteous Torah. And Deuteronomy chapter 13, if a prophet or a dream arises among you, and that dream or that prophecy comes true, and then they tell you, let us go and serve other mighty ones, he didn't send them. He sent them to test you. And that prophet in that dream of dreams, you shall stone with stones. Now we are in the land of our captivity, and we are subject to the laws of the land of which we are held captive, but so that we cannot go around stoning folk no more. But shall all in the first chapter, in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, showed us how to behave amongst the Gentiles, how to operate in Torah. The Torah calls for death, does. Turn them over to Hashatan for the destruction of their flesh, of their wicked flesh, so that perhaps their souls may be saved in the time of judgment. Indeed, not all who say they are Yahudim are Yahudim. There are witches amongst us, sorcerers, necromancers amongst us, masquerading as Yahudim, masquerading that they have the spirit, the Ruach of Yahuwah. masquerading as though they are attached to us. And to be attached to us, you have to have the very same ruach that we have, i.e. Cornelius. You have to have the ruach in order to be, in order for the covenant to be renewed in you. Stop masquerading. This too is compassion to you. Stop masquerading. Nations, Gentiles, Ephraim, so-called Yahudine. Stop masquerading. If you don't stop masquerading, indeed, I pray that the master strips you bug naked and rains down judgment upon your head. Basham Yahusha. Come on, read for us, little one. 1 John chapter 5. Read.
Everyone who believes that Yahusha is the Mashiach has been born of Elohim. And everyone who loves the one bringing
Wait, little
forth...
one. Wait, little one. Wait, little one. The master needs to clear something up there. Everyone that believes what?
That Yahusha is the Mashiach.
Is the Mashiach. Indeed, though. Listen, if you believe that he is HaMashiach, you will obey him. You will obey the living Torah. If one believes, then he obeys. As Abraham believed, and it was what? Accredited to him as righteousness. What is righteousness? Obedience to Torah. If you believe, you will obey. It's not enough to believe. You must obey. And if you believe, you will obey the living Torah. You will obey the Torah. Come on, read, little one.
Has been born of Elohim. And everyone who loves the one bringing forth also loves the one having been born of him. By this we know that we love the children of Elohim.
By this we know that we love the children of Elohim. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Read.
When we love Elohim and guard his commands.
And guard his commands. And the only way to do so, if the Torah is written upon our hearts, if love is written upon our hearts, if the Ruach has entered us and renewed, and Yahuwah, by the entering of his Ruach, having renewed his covenant with us, only then can we love, only then can we obey his righteous Torah. The Torah is too heavy of a weight for the flesh to bear. Come on, read, little one.
For this is the love for Elohim, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not heavy, because everyone having been born of Elohim overcomes the world.
Yes.
And this is the overcoming that has overcome the world.
Does not Revelation 3, where it talks about the assembly at Philadelphia, the 144,000, these who overcome will inherit all this? Those that overcome will inherit all this. If you truly, Yahudah, if you truly have the Ruach of the Master in you, if you truly have his spirit, his Ruach, then as he overcame the world, you will overcome and will be counted worthy and will be counted worthy to sing a song on Mount Zion that no one else can sing. If you indeed truly have his Ruach, if indeed you have truly been sealed, having his name written upon your forehead, as he overcame, you will overcome. Read.
Our belief. Who is the one who overcomes the world, but he who believes that Yahusha is the son of Elohim?
Indeed, if you believe, you will obey the living Torah. Read.
This is the one that came by water and blood.
Yes.
Yahushua Mashiach. Not only by water.
Yes.
But by water and blood.
Not only by water, but by water and blood. This is both. Both of these are representative of Ruach, of spirit. Water, the Hebrew, the Abait for water is ma'im, ma'im. Wherever there is water or ma'im, this is a representation of spirit, of Ruach, as out of those that believe in him, that obey him. Out of their bellies will flow rivers of living water. The dam is also a representation. The blood is also a representation of spirit. It is the Hebrew or Abrait word dam, dalet and mam, dalet and mam. Here we find mam again, as we find it in the word mayim, dalet and mam. And so blood indeed is also spirit, also ruach. Indeed, as the master spoke, unless we eat of his flesh and drink of his blood, this is Ruach, we have no life in us. It is only the spirit, only the Ruach that gives life. And thus, if you have not been born of water, of blood, of water, and of spirit, of water, and of Ruach, then you have no life in you. You are not a Yahudi. You are not a Yahudi. And the covenant has not been renewed in you. And you will not be invited to Mount Zion in this season. And so, beloved ones, do not attach yourselves to no one who does not have Ruach. Recognize counterfeiting Ruachs. Recognize religious Ruachs. Recognize spirits of divination. Recognize kundalinis. Recognize these fake Ruachs, these fake counterfeit Ruachs. Recognize those that are operating according to their flesh. They are not Yahudine. And this season is too important to connect yourself with the wrong folk, so that you find yourself in the valley of oh no, saying, oh no, how in the world did I get here? How in the world did I get here? You can stop there, little one. Line by line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Indeed, the elder daughter is going first. The elder son, Yahudah, is going first. But Yahudah are those who are grown, who are walking according to Ruach, not according to flesh. That's the nations. That's the Gentiles. That's Ephraim. That's the heathen. And they won't be joined in marriage. Ephraim, the lost tribes will not be joined in marriage. The younger daughter will not be joined in marriage until after the elder daughter has been joined in marriage. And this will not occur until after the great distress. And the reason for this is because many of them, many of Ephraim, there are some of Ephraim who are now attaching themselves to Yahudah, but there's not many. There is not many, but nevertheless, the reason for that is because Ephraim is still operating in the flesh. Ephraim is still operating in Torahlessness and uncleanness. And for that reason, as the younger son, as the younger daughter, he's going to have to be chastised and corrected. And after that great correction called YAHUAH'S distress, the younger daughter, the younger son will then be brought into covenant with the master. The covenant will then be renewed with him. The covenant will then be renewed with him. And so it is important in this season to not connect yourself with the wrong folk. Don't connect yourself with the wrong folk. It is important that you connect yourself with Yahudah, with true Yahudah, with true Yahudine, who are born of water and of spirit, of water and of Ruach, and who are not operating according to the flesh. Line by line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Walk in that calling Yahudah. Yahudah indeed goes first. If you're walking as Yahudah, if you're walking as one grown and not as children, walking according to Ruach, then you will go first. You will be invited to Mount Zion to have the covenant renewed with you, and then be the first to be brought back into the land. If you are found worthy, if you are found well doing. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Mute your mics, please. Mute your mics. Mute your mics. Check your mics, please. Check your mics. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Line by line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Give us another precept, little one.
We have Matthew 5:13-20.
Matthew now. Matthew chapter 5. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. And the master wants to now reveal why you nations right now in this season must attach yourselves to Yahudah. If you want to be saved or delivered from the hour of trial, you must attach yourselves to Yahudah. The master now wants to show you, wants to show the nations, wants to show you Yahudah. He wants to show you why the nations now must attach themselves to us, must attach themselves to Yahudah if they desire to be saved from the hour of trial. Matthew chapter 5. Matat Yahu chapter 5. And we're going to read verses 13 through 20. Verses 13 through 20. Yahudah chapter 5, verses 13 through 20. Yahudah chapter 5, verses 13 through 20. Yahudah chapter 5, verses 13 through 20. Before little one reads, understand this. Here in Yahudah, in Matthew, the master is not speaking to the nations. He's not speaking to the Gentiles. He's not speaking to Ephraim. He is speaking here to Yahudine. He is speaking strictly to Yahudine. He sent Yahudine amongst the nations. He sent his taught ones who were Yahudine amongst the nations. He came in flesh as Yahudah. Here he is speaking to Yahudine and Yahudine alone and no one else. You need to understand this because this is still in place. This has not changed. These words have not changed. This is still in place. He is speaking here to Yahudine. Understand this. Beginning now at verse 13. Read, little one.
You are the salt of the earth.
You, Yahudah, are the salt of the earth. Read.
But if the salt becomes tasteless.
Yahudah, listen, hear him. The only way to be the salt of the earth is to have the salt of the covenant sprinkled upon you. And in order to have the salt of the covenant sprinkled upon you, you must be in covenant with him. He must have entered into you. He must have entered you. The salt of the covenant is to Ruach. Because the Ruach does what? As salt preserves, he preserves. As the Ruach draws the impurities from us, the salt draws impurities from us. As salt adds flavor, it is the Ruach that adds flavor to us. This is Yahudah, of whom the renewing of the covenant goes to first. Because Yahudah is the elder daughter who is giving away in marriage first. Yahudah, you are the salt of the earth, provided you've been born of Ruach. Provided that you have been born of Ruach and are walking worthily of your calling. Are walking worthily, are walking worthy of the calling of a Yahudine. Not according to your flesh, but being the salt, the true salt of the earth. Come on, read.
How shall it be seasoned? For it is no longer of any use but to be thrown out and to be trodden down by men. You are the light of the world.
You, Yahudah, are the light of the world. This is no one else but Yahudah. Ephraim was divorced here. Ephraim is still divorced. Unless they come back into the renewing of the covenant. They are still now divorced. This is to Yahudah. We still now are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. And the world must connect themselves to Yahudah. Must connect themselves to Yahudah. As the Mashiach himself is a Yahudine. The world must connect themselves to Yahudah, as deliverance is of the Yahudine. And if you desire to be delivered from the hour of trial, you must connect yourself to Yahudah. But Yahudah, you must be a light. You must be a living Torah. And the only way to be a living Torah is have the Torah written upon your heart. Is to have the menorah inside of you. Is to have the living menorah inside of you, which is fueled, full of oil. Full of oil. Fueled by the oil of the Ruach HaKadosh. You, Yahudah, are the light of the world. You must be a light. You must be grown up. You must walk as the elder son and the elder daughter and be found well-doing. If you want to be kept from the hour of trial, you must be a light, a living Torah. And the only way to be that living Torah is to have the Torah written upon the heart, is to be reborn of water and Ruach, is to be sealed. Sealed in this season. Sealed. Sealed, having the name of the Master written upon our forehead. You must be sealed in order to be the light of the world. This is Yahudah. He's speaking to Yahudine. This responsibility has not been passed to anyone else. This is Yahudah. Hear him. Ephraim, the younger son, is still divorced. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be. But most of them are still divorced. As we read in Revelation 7, those coming out of the great distress of every nation, tribe, and tongue, Ephraim being the completeness of the nation, being a number that no one could number. That no one could number. Most of them are still divorced. And the covenant will not be renewed in them until after the great distress, when clean water is sprinkled upon them, and the heart of stone is removed and replaced with a heart of flesh, and the master's ruach is put in them, causing them then to keep covenant with him, causing them then to obey his commandments. Right now, in this time, in this season, the responsibility has been given to Yahudah, who has never been divorced, because of his promise to sovereign Dawood, and that he would never lack a man to sit on the throne. So this responsibility now is Yahudah's, to be a light to the nations, so that the nations would be drawn to this light, as moths are drawn to candles, so that perhaps some of them will be saved from the hour of trial. Come on, read, little one.
It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine before men.
Let your light, Yahudah, the light of the Torah, be a living Torah. Let your light, Yahudah, so shine among men. You, Yahudah, are the ones with light. You, Yahudah, you, Yahudine, and those attached, because if you are attached, you are Yahudine. We carry his light. This responsibility has been given to us. This light will not return to the whole nation of Yashar'al, until the whole nation, until two sticks become one. The house of Judah and the house of Ephraim become one after the great distress. This will not take place. The whole nation of Yashar'al will not be a light to the nations until after the great distress. Until then, Judah, Yahudah, this responsibility is yours. This responsibility belongs to us. And soon, hear him, soon he is removing the light from the world. Yes, he is. Soon he is removing those who have light from the world. Yes, he is. Because light and darkness cannot coexist. In order for the reign of darkness to come and reign amongst this world, he must remove his light. He must remove breath. He must remove the living water in order for dryness to come. And so, Yahudah, we must work while it is still day. Night is coming when no man can work. He is removing the light, and darkness is coming. And if you are light, he is bringing you to Mount Zion, because light and darkness cannot coexist. I pray somebody get some understanding. Come on, read, little one.
So that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one yod or one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of heavens. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the reign of heavens. Again,
he's talking to Yahudine about the teaching and the keeping of his righteous Torah. He's talking to Yahudine, in which within Yahudah is the priesthood, is the Kahanah, because Yahudah will never be without a lawgiver from between his feet. In Yahudah is the teaching of the Torah. It's the keeping of the Torah. It's the example to be living examples in righteousness, to be living lights, to be living Torah. This is given to Yahudah. Come on, read, little one.
For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees,
hear him?
you shall by no means enter into the reign of the heavens.
Listen, he's been, all of the examples that he's given you thus far, Yahudah, those examples of those walking in the flesh, those are scribes and Pharisees. Those are modern day scribes and Pharisees. They are counterfeits. They are mimickers. They are pretenders. They are not Yahudine. They are not Yahudine. They are walking according to the flesh. These are modern day scribes and Pharisees. And unless your righteousness, which is obedience to Torah, exceeds theirs, you shall by no means see the reign of Elohim. And your righteousness cannot exceed theirs unless righteousness resides in your heart. Unless the Torah has been written upon your heart. Unless Yahuwah has entered you and renewed his covenant with you. Only then can your righteousness exceed these modern day Pharisees and scribes. Oh, they sound very convincing, Yahudah, because they're very knowledgeable, you see. But their mighty one is their knowledge. Their mighty one is gnosis. So they know the book, Yahudah. They know the book. They stand on the foundation of their knowledge. But in placing their foundation on the foundation of knowledge, they have a form of reverence, denying the power thereof. You see, I place no confidence in my flesh, because no flesh shall boast before him. And if you depend on your knowledge, you are boasting in your flesh. I depend on the Master Yahuwah and Yahuwah alone to teach me, to guide me, to speak his words to me, to write his Torah upon my heart. Him and him alone. If he does not speak to me and speak through me, I have nothing to say. I do not depend on fruitless knowledge. The same knowledge that caused Adam and Kua to fall in the first place. But they can be very convincing and sound as though they are full of Ruach, full of spirit, full of Yahuwah. But they are rather just full of knowledge, Sion. They are full of knowledge. They have a grasp of the Abraite tongue, of the Hebrew tongue. They know it fluently. They're well read. They know the scriptures. They're well read. They read books, Sion. They trip over books coming into their households. But they're void of Ruach. Look at the fruit. By their fruit you shall know them. The fruit of the Ruach, not by their knowledge. You must not get caught up and caught off guard in this season. You must not connect yourself to false Yahudine, who are really Ephraim and heathen, masquerading as Yahudine. True Yahudine don't just have a form of reverence. We reverence him because his dwelling place is amongst us. We are his dwelling place. And we reverence him. We worship him in Ruach and in truth. This is a true Yahudine. A true Yahudine reverences the Master. And his dwelling place is amongst us. Don't get caught off guard. Don't get caught off guard. Unless your righteousness exceeds theirs, you're not going to Mount Zion. And you will by no means see the reign of Elohim. Line by line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. However, the nations must attach themselves to true Yahudah, because Ephraim is still divorced. Yahudah was never divorced. And so the nations must now attach themselves to Yahudah if they desire to escape the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. Come on, read, little one.
Genesis 49:8.
Genesis chapter 49. Barashif chapter 49. Genesis chapter 49. Barashif chapter 49. Genesis chapter 49. Barashif chapter 49. Yea, Master. Let this word go across the four corners of the earth as a hammer that shatters, breaking bonds and chains and shattering fallow ground, such that this seed, this word, will be planted in fertile soil. Barak Yahuwah. Fertile soil, conducive to planting. Water that seed, Master, with your living water, such that it grows to produce the fruit that leads to everlasting life. Genesis 49. Barashif chapter 49. What verses, little one?
8 through 12.
Verses 8 through 12. Genesis chapter 49, verses 8 through 12. Verses 8 through 12. Beginning at verse 8. Come on, read, little one.
You, Yahudah.
Listen, you, Yahudah. Read.
Your brothers praise you.
Your brothers praise you, as Yahudah means praise. There is no coincidence that those on Mount Zion will be praising, because these are Yahudine. Come on, read.
Your hand is on the neck of your enemies.
Your hand is on the neck of your enemies. Read.
Your father's children bow down before you.
Listen, your father's children bow down before you, inclusive of Ephraim. We're going to talk more about Ephraim, but inclusive of Ephraim. They bow down before Yahudah. They must attach themselves to Yahudah if they desire to be delivered. Read.
Yahudah is a lion's cub.
Yahudah is a lion's cub.
From the prey you have gone up, my son.
From the prey you have gone up. Read.
He bowed down, he crouched like a lion. And like a lion, who does rouse him? The scepter shall not turn aside from Yahudah.
Listen, the scepter, the rulership, as elder son, the scepter, the staff, shall not pass from Yahudah. It shall not pass from Yahudah. The nations must attach themselves to Yahudah if you desire to be saved. The scepter shall not pass from Yahudah until when?
Nor an inscriber from between his feet.
Nor an inscriber, nor a lawgiver, nor a priest, nor a Louis from between his feet. Read.
Until Shiloh comes.
Until Shiloh comes. Read.
And to him is the obedience of peoples.
And to him is the obedience of people.
Binding his donkey to the vine.
Yes.
And his donkey's coat to the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine. And his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine. And his teeth whiter than milk.
Barak Yahuwah. This is the Mashiach of which she is reading. And so Yahudah will bear the scepter until Yahuwah in the person of Yahusha comes back to the earth. Yahudah will bear the scepter because Ephraim, who is firstborn, but Ephraim is divorced. He is divorced. And unless he comes back to the renewing of the covenant, he is still divorced. Thus, the scepter belongs to Yahudah. The scepter and thus deliverance is of the Yahudine. For the nations to be saved from the hour of trial, they must, in this season, connect themselves and join themselves to Yahudah, to a true Yahudine, not one born of flesh and blood, but of water and of Ruach. You must be joined to Yahudah, because these are Yahudine on Mount Zion, 144,000, and those joined to us. This is the elder daughter who is to be given away in marriage first, in accordance with the Torah. The renewing of the covenant is to be renewed in the elder daughter first. She is to be married first, as covenant equals marriage. So the scepter will not pass from Yahudah until Yahushua HaMashiach comes, who will rule the nation with a rod of iron. Until then, the scepter shall not pass from Yahudah. And so the nations, you nations who are listening under the sound of my voice, of the masters speaking through my voice, if you desire to be kept from the hour of trial, the great distress, the great tribulation, Yahuwah's trouble, which is soon to come upon the earth, you must attach yourselves to Yahudah. You must attach yourselves to Yahudah. Yahudah, you must walk worthy of a Yahudine. You must be a light, as the text declares. You must be a light to the world, a light to the nations. You must walk worthily of a Yahudine, not of flesh and of blood, but of water and of ruach, walking as an adult, and no longer as a child, in accordance with the filthy, uncleanness ways of your flesh. You must walk as an adult, one being born of ruach, meaning that the Ancient of Days dwells in you. Line by line, precept upon precept, the nations must attach themselves to Yahudah. Give us another precept, little one.
Deuteronomy 33, 8 through 11.
Deuteronomy chapter 33. Dabarim chapter 33. Dabarim chapter 33. Deuteronomy, Dabarim chapter 33. The fifth book of Masha, the last book of the written Torah. The fifth book of Masha. Dabarim chapter 33, verses 8 through 11. Verses 8 through 11. Verses 8 through 11. Beginning at verse 8. Read for us, little one.
And of Louis he said.
And of Louis, indeed, Yahudah, the scepter shall not pass from Yahudah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet. Read.
Your Tumim and your Urim belong to your lovingly committed one.
Indeed, the priesthood, again, the Kahanah, resides within Yahudah. It resides within Yahudah. Indeed, a true Yahudine may be either Yahudah, a Louis, a Benjamin, and as it relates to these end times and 144,000, it could be any one of them. A true Kahan could be any one of these 12 tribes, because a true Yahudine, indeed himself is a priest, a Kahan in the order of Melchizedek, but the priesthood, the priesthood as it applies to Louis, the Louim Kahana, the Louim priesthood resides within Yahudah. Thus the Torah, the teaching of the Torah, the giving of the Torah, being anointed to teach the Torah, this resides in Yahudah. Teaching the Torah in Ruach and in truth, teaching the spiritual matters, the deeper, teaching both the letter and the Ruach of the Torah. This resides in Yahudah. Come on, read.
Whom you tried at Massah, with whom you contended at the waters of Meribah, who said of his father and mother.
Who said of his father and his mother,
I have not seen them.
I have not seen them.
And he did not acknowledge his brothers or know his own children.
And he did not acknowledge his brothers or his own children. The text declares, unless you hate mother, father, sister, brother, son, or daughter, then you can have no part in him. You can have no part in him. This began in the priesthood. This is the Messiah's words speaking to a nation of priests, a nation of Kahanah. This is the Messiah speaking to a nation of priests. This priesthood here are regarded not son, nor daughter, nor mother, nor father, nor sister or brother. And thus, read.
For they have guarded your word and watched over your covenant.
For they have guarded your word. We find these very same words in Revelation chapter 3 when it's speaking of the Yahudine, the assembly at Philadelphia. Because you have guarded my word of endurance and have not denied my name. See, I am causing those of the synagogue of Hashatan who say that they are Yahudim and are not, to come and worship before your feet. And I shall keep you from the hour of trial, which is coming to try the whole earth. These are priests. These are priests, in which the priesthood shall not lead, shall not go forth from between Yahudah's feet. Shall not go forth from Yahudah's feet. Come on, read.
They teach your right rulings to Yaakov.
They teach your right rulings to Yaakov. This rests within Yahudah, of which the temple, the dwelling place of the Master Yahuwah dwells. And where his dwelling place is, there you will find the Kahanah, the priesthood, teaching the nations the Torah, the righteous Torah, being anointed to teach the nations the Torah. Read.
and your Torah to Yasharal.
Barak Yahuwah.
They put incense before you and a complete ascending offering on your slaughter place.
Barak Yahuwah.
O Yahuwah, bless his strength and accept the work of his hands. Smite the loins of those who rise against him and of those who hate him, that they rise no more.
You must attach yourselves to Yahudah, and you must be taught by Yahudah. If you desire to escape the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth, you must attach yourselves to Yahudah, and you must you must be taught by Yahudah. I'm not talking about those who say that they are Yahudine and are not, but are of the synagogue of Hasatan, bearing the star of Hasatan, a pentagram, representing the morning star, who is Hasatan. This is the synagogue of Hasatan. I'm not talking about them, because they're going to teach you more Talmud than the righteous Torah, inclusive of those who call themselves Messianic Jews. They keep more of the Talmud. They keep more of the Talmud than the righteous Torah as well. As well as they submit to this star of Hasatan, or this star of Renfan, or this star of Malak, this pentagram, this morning star. They submit to it as well. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about a true Yahudine, who's been born of water and of spirit, who does not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Ruach, who's not going to give you his own words. He's not going to give you some man-made doctrine comprised of some 1,000-year-old Talmud, but is going to give you the Torah in Ruach and in truth, as the master gives him utterance. Barak Yahuwah, Barak his Kadush name. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Line by line, precept upon precept, you must attach yourselves to Yahudah, and you must be taught by Yahudah if you desire to escape the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. Give us another precept, little one.
Deuteronomy 33, 13 to 17.
Deuteronomy, the same chapter 33. Which verses?
13 to 17.
Verses 13 to 17. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verses 13 through 17. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verses 13 through 17. Beginning at verse 13. Come on, read, little one.
And of Yahudah he said.
And of Yahudah he says. Come on.
Blessed of Yahuwah is his land.
Blessed of Yahuwah is his land. Read.
With the choicest from the heavens.
With the choicest from the heavens.
With the dew and the deep lying beneath.
With the dew and the deep what?
The deep lying beneath.
The deep lying beneath.
With the choice fruits of the sun.
Barak Yahuwah. These are the same words that were spoken over Iskak. And these are the same words that were spoken over Yahudah by Iskak in terms of the barakah, of the firstborn blessing. This is being spoken over Yahudah, who is firstborn. Not firstborn according to the flesh, but firstborn according to spirit, according to the Ruach. Not born of flesh and blood, but born of water and of Ruach, just as his father was not firstborn according to the flesh, but firstborn according to Ruach, born of water and of Ruach. So he is firstborn. He is firstborn. And this is the firstborn blessing, the firstborn barakah being spoken over him. The same firstborn barakah that was spoken over Yahudah and that was spoken over Iskak. Come on, read.
With the choice yield of the months, with the fineness of the ancient mountains.
This is the inheritance of the firstborn. Read.
With the choicest of the everlasting hills, with the choicest of the earth and all that fills it, and the good pleasure of him who dwelt in the bush. Let it come on the head of Yahudah, and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. His splendor is like a firstborn bull.
His splendor is like a firstborn bull who was separated. Hear him. Who was separated from his brothers. And his splendor is like a firstborn bull. Read.
And his horns are like the horns of the wild ox.
And his horns are like the horns of a wild ox. The symbol or sign of Ephraim is the ox. Is the ox who is firstborn. His father Yahudah placed his right hand upon the head of Ephraim and his left hand upon the head of Manasseh. Thus saying there that the firstborn barakah, the firstborn blessing, is being passed to Ephraim, whose name means doubly fruitful. Is being passed to him. He is firstborn. The inheritance, the firstborn right, the right of inheritance goes to Ephraim. This is mankind. This is Adam. This belongs to Ephraim. Come on, read.
With them he pushes the people to the ends of the earth.
With these, Ephraim pushes the peoples around the earth. He is the completeness of the nations. He is every nation, tribe, and tongue. Read.
And they are the 10,000s of Ephraim.
Yes.
And they are the thousands of Manasseh.
They are the 10,000s of Ephraim and the thousands of Manasseh. Ephraim is firstborn. He is firstborn. He receives the inheritance. He bears the name of his grandfather, Yasha'al. He bears the name as Yahudah pronounced his name over Ephraim, Yasha'al. And so he bears his name. This is why the northern 10 tribes now are sometimes called Ephraim, sometimes called the land is sometimes called Ephraim. The land was sometimes called Shamarum, and the land was sometimes called Yasha'al, because he bears the name of his grandfather. They and they alone, the 10 tribes, are Yasha'al, are firstborn. The firstborn, barakah, blessing, belongs, is placed upon the head of Ephraim, is placed upon the head of Yasha'al. But Yasha'al transgressed, and in the year 722 BCE, Yasha'al was divorced from the master, was given a writ, a certificate of divorce, and sent amongst the nations, where Ephraim, the firstborn, the prodigal son, the younger daughter, remains until this day. And thus, because Ephraim is divorced, this right now, the scepter does not pass from Yahudah until Shilu comes. And we are once again one nation again, and we are once again one Yasha'al. Yasha'al cannot be Yasha'al until Ephraim comes home. He bears the name. Yasha'al, the land, cannot be Yasha'al, what they call Israel. It cannot be Yasha'al or Israel until Ephraim comes out of the nations and comes home, and that's when Shelu comes. That's when the scepter will pass to Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahuwah in flesh. Until then, because Ephraim is divorced and the scepter now belongs to Yahudah, the nations must attach themselves to us. You must attach yourself to Yahudah. But here, I draw your attention to something else. Yahushua, who was separated from his brothers, going into the land of Masquerading first. His son Ephraim did what? Was sent back into Egypt first. Ain't nothing new under the sun. This is the other foundation and the premise that the master is establishing this day. There is nothing new under the sun. As Joseph was sent before, as Yahushua was sent before into Egypt, Ephraim, his son, was sent back into Egypt. Egypt being all nations, Egypt being the earth. Ephraim in 722 BCE, over 2,700 years ago, was sent back into Masquerading, was sent back into Egypt. And as there is nothing new under the sun, you can't make it up. As Yahushua left Egypt in a casket by bones, most of Ephraim are going to leave Egypt the same way. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're going to leave Egypt by death the same way, because they don't want to let go of their uncleanness. They don't want to let go of their filth. They don't want to turn from unrighteousness and back to his righteous Torah. And so most of them are going to leave by death in Yahudah's distress, in the same way that their father Yahushua left Egypt the first time. Albeit Yahushua died at a ripe old age, died in righteousness. But the point is, his son, most of them are going to leave Egypt in the same way that he did, and that is by death. Nevertheless, Ephraim now, although he is firstborn, he is divorced. He is divorced. And he alone bears the right of firstborn. He and he alone bears the name Yasha'al. So Yahudah You're not Yasharal. You are Yahudine. You are Yahudine. We will not be Yasharal until we are back in our land as a united nation. When Yasharal comes home, the firstborn comes home, and we have one sovereign, Yahushua HaMashiach, ruling and governing over us, then we will be a united Yasharal. But for now, the scepter shall not pass from Yahudah until Shilu comes. And so nations must not only attach themselves to Yahudah if they desire to be saved from the hour of trial, but you must be taught by Yahudine. You must be taught by us. You cannot be taught by Ephraim. He's divorced. That's your problem now. That's why you're in these churches. The churches are a result of the heathen. Churches are a result of heathen teaching you. And you being divorced from the ways of the master. This is why you're under some pastor telling you that you do not have to obey his righteous Torah anymore. Because you're not being taught by Yahudah. You're being taught falsehood. Indeed, Revelation 14, verses 1 through 5 declares of the Yahudine, there is no falsehood being found in their mouths. Because indeed, to the Torah and the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, there is no light in them. A true Yahudine will speak in accordance with the righteous Torah in Ruach and in truth. In Ruach and in truth. You must attach yourselves to Yahudah and be taught by Yahudah if you desire to be saved from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon this earth. Line by line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Give us another precept, little one.
Deuteronomy 28:68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28:68. Verse 68. We're all familiar with this. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Master Yahuwah is just giving some of you a history lesson, or for some of you a refresher in history. Dabarim chapter 28, verse 68. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Dabarim verses 28, verse 68. Reading only verse 68. Come on, read, little one.
And Yahuwah shall bring you back to Mitzrayim in ships by a way of which I said to you, you are never to see it again. And there you shall be sold to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one to buy.
With no one to redeem you in accordance with the Torah. If you're sold into slavery, you're what? Your brother does redeem you. But here, the Master Yahuwah says no, because of your wickedness and your uncleanness, ain't nobody going to redeem you. Nobody's going to redeem you. Here, Masha is talking to the whole house of Yasharal, all 12 tribes to the house of Yasharal, declaring here that if you do not obey the righteous Torah, the righteous command of the master, you're going to be sent back into slavery by way of ship. We understand that in 722 BCE, that Ephraim was the first to go back into slavery. Ephraim was the first to go back into Egypt. In the year 70 AD, as they say, and I say as they say because this hasn't been confirmed by me, but in the year 70 AD, as they say, Yahudah was sent packing from the land of Yasharal to the four corners of the earth. Yahudah then was sent back into Egypt as well. Many of us from the tribe of Yahudah went into West Africa, into East Africa. And from there, many of the tribe of Yahudah was sold into slavery by way of ship and brought to the Americas. Nevertheless, all of Yasharal went back into Egypt. But in accordance with the text, as Yahushua went into Egypt first, was separated from his brothers. Ephraim, being separated now from his brothers in 722 BCE, also went back into Egypt again, in accordance with the word of the master, as master was speaking to all 12 tribes here. He went back into Egypt again. The master is laying a foundation, and that foundation is there is nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing new under the sun. He's going to reveal something. There is nothing new under the sun. He was separated from his brothers, and Ephraim, the firstborn, went into Egypt again, followed by Yahudah, who also went into Egypt. Again. Read, little one. Give us another precept.
For Ezra 15, 1 through 12.
For Esdras. If you don't have a Sefer, this is 2 Esdras. chapter 15. If you have a scepter, this is 4 Esdras, chapter 15. 4 Esdras, chapter 15, if you have a scepter. 2 Esdras, chapter 15, if you do not have a scepter. If someone here can post 2 Esdras of the Zoom family, can post 2 Esdras, chapter 15, or a link to 2 Esdras, a PDF of it here inside the chat, so that those who do not have access to 2 Esdras, chapter 15, can follow along, I would appreciate it. But for those of you who have a scepter, this is 4 Esdras, chapter 15. 4 Esdras, chapter 15. I'll give you just a couple of minutes. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. For Esdras, chapter 15, I believe it's verses 1 through 12. Is that correct, little one?
Yes, sir.
Verses 1 through 12. Verses 1 through 12. 2 Esdras chapter 15, if you do not have a scepter. 4 Esdras chapter 15, if you have a scepter. Verses 1 through 12. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read for us, little one.
Behold, speak in the ears of my people the words of prophecy.
Yes, read.
Which I will put in your mouth, says Yahuwah, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against you. Let not the incredulity of them trouble you that speak against you. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, says Yahuwah, I will bring plagues upon the world.
I will bring plagues upon the world. Read.
The sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore says Yahuwah,
yes,
I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cries unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore, says Yahuwah,
yes,
I will surely avenge them,
yes,
and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter.
Behold, my people is led to a flock as a flock to the slaughter. Read.
I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Mitzrayim.
I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt and the land of Mitzrayim. Read.
But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. And
I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. Now bear in mind, this is Esdras. This is Esdras, Azra rather. Azra, commonly called Ezra, the scribe, the Levite, the Louis, who was amongst Yahudah after the Babylonian captivity. So Egypt had passed. This is a prophecy. This is a prophecy that plagues are coming to Egypt again, and that his people were going to be sent back into Egypt again. Read.
And smite Mitzrayim with plagues, as before.
As before. There is nothing new under the sun. The master is going somewhere. As Egypt was plagued with plagues before, Egypt is going to be plagued again with plagues. Again. Egypt is going to undergo plagues again. Again, all over again. There is nothing new under the sun. The master indeed is going somewhere with this. Come on, read.
And will destroy all the land thereof. Mitzrayim shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Elohim shall bring upon it.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. So this time when the plagues come upon Egypt, they are indeed coming upon the whole world, which is Egypt. They are coming upon the Gentiles. They are coming upon the nations. When the plagues came at first and plagued the kingdom of Pharaoh, and plagued the kingdom of Hashatan. They did not plague Yahudah. They did not plague Yahudah. But this time, Ephraim is amongst the nations. Ephraim is as one of the Gentiles, because Ephraim is walking in accordance with his flesh, just like the Gentiles. And so as we are getting ready to read, I believe we're getting ready to read Revelation 11.
Yes.
As we are getting ready to read, during the time of Elijah of all Yahudah, who Yahuwah used to do what? To plague Yashar'al. Yes, he did. That was the northern 10 tribes. To plague Yashar'al. To plague his disobedient son. He is now getting ready to, in Revelation 11, to send all Yahudah back to do what? To plague his disobedient son. So his disobedient son is going to be plagued again, to be corrected, because he refuses to turn from uncleanness back to righteousness. There is nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun. But, however, Yahudah won't be there. Yahudah will not be there, because Yahudah has turned back to righteousness. Yahudah has turned back to covenant. These plagues will be for the head of Ephraim. These plagues of Egypt will be for the head of Ephraim, in which Masha, indeed, the first to bring down plagues on Egypt. Yes, he did. The master brought plagues upon Egypt through Masha, through the hand of Masha. He's going to do it again. And through all Yahudah, he brought down plagues on the northern kingdom, on the northern 10 tribes. He's getting ready to do it again, because now Ephraim is what? Every nation, tribe, and tongue. And he's getting ready to plague the whole earth. The whole earth, because now indeed the whole earth is Egypt. The whole earth is Egypt. But Yahudah will not be there. Yahudah will not be there. There's nothing new under the sun. And so indeed, again, if you want to be delivered, if you want to be saved from the hour of trial nations, avoid Ephraim. Avoid those who are operating as Ephraim, who call themselves Yahudine, and attach yourselves to Yahudah and be taught by Yahudah, if you desire to be saved from the hour of trial, because in Yahudah the scepter resides for now. The scepter resides. The covenant resides with Yahudah, because he never divorced Yahudah, but he divorced Ephraim. And if you desire to be renewed to covenant first, you must attach yourself to Yahudah and not Ephraim, and someone operating in accordance with the flesh, someone operating as Ephraim, who is going to undergo plagues and destruction and punishment and a chastising rod, because he refuses to repent for now. He refuses to wash for now. You must attach to Yahudah. You must attach yourself to Yahudah and be taught by Yahudah. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Turn to Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. And we're going to read here until I tell little one to stop. Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. Kazum, Revelation chapter 11. Revelation, Kazum chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. Come on, read for us, little one.
And a reed like a measuring rod was given to me, and the messenger stood saying, Rise and measure the dwelling place of Elohim, and the slaughter place, and those worshiping in it. but cast out the court which is outside the dwelling place, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the nations, and they shall trample the Kadosh city underfoot for 42 months.
3.5 years. The time of the great distress. Read.
And I shall give unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy.
Masha and all Yahu. Read.
1,260 days.
3.5 years. As through Masha, the master brought down plagues on the land of Masquerading the first time. And as through all Yahu, the master brought down plagues on the northern kingdom, in which he is punishing in these plagues who is within Egypt, and who is in the whole earth, who is now every nation, tribe, and tongue, who is the completeness of the nations. He's sending Masha and all Yahu back. Come on, read.
Clad in sackcloth.
Yes.
These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands that are standing before the Elohim of the earth. And if anyone wishes to harm them, fire comes out from their mouth and consumes their enemies. And if anyone wishes to harm them, he has to be killed in that way. These possess authority to shut the heaven.
These possess authority to shut the heavens. As all Yahu shut the heavens, how long? 3.5 years. Understand the context and the shadow. All Yahu, not all Yahu, but the master through all Yahu, through his prayer, shut up the heavens so that there was no rain on the northern kingdom for 3.5 years. This is for the northern kingdom. This is for Ephraim, to chastise him and punish him. Read.
So that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy. And they possess authority over waters.
Over waters, read.
To turn them to blood.
To turn them to blood. As Masha, he gave Masha to turn the waters into blood in the Egypt the first time. He's going to have the authority to turn the waters into blood the second time. Where the majority of the oceans and the rivers and the streams are going to be turned into blood for 3.5 years when they are here to punish his disobedient son and to turn him back to righteousness. This being Ephraim, who was amongst the nations, the younger son who was walking in accordance to his flesh. The elder son, if you are his elder son, you're not walking this way. You're walking according to Ruach, and you are being a light to the younger son. You are being a light to the Gentiles, giving them an example of an elderly son, such as to prayerfully draw some of them out of darkness into his marvelous light, and to prayerfully save some from the hour of trial. You must attach yourself to Yahudah and be taught by Yahudah if you desire to be saved from the hour of trial, the great tribulation which is soon to come upon the earth. Read, little one.
And to smite the earth with all plagues, as often as they wish. And when they have ended their witness, the beast coming up out of the pit of the deep shall fight against them and overcome them and kill them.
This is Pharaoh. This is Pharaoh. There is another Pharaoh coming to the earth. The Pharaoh is ultimately Hashatan. He was the spirit, the Ruach, that was controlling the first Pharaoh. He is the Ruach, the spirit, who will indwell this beast coming up out of the pit, who is Nimrod. He will indwell him. This is Pharaoh. This is the end time Pharaoh, and which will war against Ephraim, will war against Ephraim, the northern kingdom, the northern 10 tribes, and those so-called Yahudine who are operating according to the flesh. He will war against them, and he will be given power over these 2 witnesses. Read.
And their dead bodies lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Mitzrayim, where also our master was impaled. And some of the people and tribes and tongues and nations see their dead bodies for 3.5 days.
Even some of Ephraim. Come on.
And not allow their dead bodies to be placed in tombs. And those dwelling on the earth rejoice over them and exalt.
And those dwelling on the earth rejoice over them and exalt, including some of Ephraim. Because not all of Ephraim is coming back. Some of Ephraim is going to take the mark. They're going to worship the beast. And they're going to the pit. And ultimately to the lake of fire. You don't want to be caught with Ephraim. You don't want to be fooled by someone who calls themselves a Yahudine, who is operating as Ephraim. You don't want to be fooled in this season. Come on, read.
And they shall send gifts to each other, because these two prophets tortured those dwelling on the earth. And after the 3.5 days, a spirit of life from Elohim entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. And great fear fell on those who saw them. And they heard a loud voice from the heavens saying to them, Come up here. And they went up into the heaven in a cloud, and their enemies saw them. And in that hour there came to be a great earthquake, and 1/10 of the city fell. And in the earthquake 7,000 men were killed, and the rest became afraid and gave esteem to the Elohim of heaven. The second woe is past, and see, the third woe is coming speedily. And the seventh messenger sounded, and there came to be loud voices in the heavens saying, The reign of this world has become the reign of our master and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders sitting before Elohim on their thrones fell on their faces and worshipped Elohim, saying, We give thanks, O Yahuwah Al Shaddai, the one who is, and who was, and who is coming, because you have taken your great power and reigned, and the nations were enraged, and your wrath has come, and the time of the dead to be judged, and to give the reward to your servants, the prophets, and to the Kadosh ones, and to those who revere your name, small and great, and to destroy those who destroy the earth. And the dwelling place of Elohim was open in the heaven, and the ark of his covenant was seen in his dwelling place. And there came to be lightning, and voices, and thunders, and an earthquake, and great hail.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. After these 3.5 years, the reign of the Mashiach will come. The reign of the Mashiach will come. Nevertheless, the point being, there's nothing new under the sun. Egypt is going to be judged again. Egypt is the whole earth. Where Yahshua is, Egypt is. Egypt is the whole earth. It is the kingdom of Hashatan. It is the kingdom of darkness. We were delivered from the kingdom of darkness by our Pasach lamb. But the whole earth is the kingdom of darkness. It is Egypt. And thus, Ephraim, being every nation, tribe, and tongue, is in Egypt. It's back in Egypt again. And he is going to be judged as the northern kingdom was judged through all Yahu. The northern kingdom is going to be judged again through all Yahu. And as Egypt was judged, as Egypt suffered plagues through Masha, Egypt, the whole earth, is going to suffer plagues again through Masha. You don't want to join yourself to Ephraim. You want to join yourself to Yahudah. You want to be taught by Yahudah. If you desire to be the elder daughter, to be rejoined in marriage to the master first. If you desire to be saved from the hour of trial, you need to attach yourself to Yahudah, whom the scepter, where the scepter resides. It does not reside with Ephraim anymore, because Yahushua, it resided with Yahushua when he was living, and it passed to Ephraim. This blessing, this barakah, this distinction of firstborn passed to Ephraim. But Ephraim whored. They whored. And in 722 BCE, Ephraim was divorced and sent amongst the nations. And to this day, Ephraim remains divorced, because Ephraim is determined to continue walking as a child, continuing to walk in according to the lust of his flesh. You do not want to be attached to him. You want to be attached to Yahudah, and to be taught by Yahudah, if you desire to escape the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. Line upon line, precept upon precept, hear a little, dare a little, walking thy calling. Yahudah goes first. You must be attached to Yahudah if you desire to escape the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. Give us another precept, little one.
Jeremiah 3, the whole chapter.
Yahu chapter 3. Jeremiah chapter 3, continuing to give some of you a history lesson, laying the foundation. Nothing new under the sun. Continuing to give some of you a history lesson. Master's going somewhere with this. He's going somewhere. There's nothing new under the sun. What has been is happening again. What happened is happening again. There's no new matter under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. Everything that took place is taking place again. Everything that took place is taking place again. Yahudah, Jeremiah chapter 3. Yahudah, Jeremiah chapter 3 in its entirety. And I don't think we have too much further to go, do we, little one? Oh. Okay, she said, oh, I guess we got a few more precepts. Yahudah. How we looking for time?
It's 2 hours and 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Oh, this is going to be a long one, little one. Jeremiah, Yahudah, chapter 3 in its entirety. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
Elohim said, if a man puts away his wife, and she goes from him and becomes another man's, does he return to her again? Would not that land be made greatly unclean? But you have committed whoring with many lovers, and would you return to me, declares Yahudah. Lift up your eyes to the bare heights and see, where have you not lain with men? Besides the ways you have sat for them like an Arabian in the wilderness, and you made the land unclean with your whorings and your evil. Therefore the showers have been withheld, and there have been no latter rain. You have had a whore's forehead. You refuse to be ashamed. Shall you not from now on cry to me, my father? You are the guide of my youth. Does one bear a grudge forever? Does one keep it to the end? See, you have spoken and done the evils that you could. And Yahudah said to me in the days of Yashayahu the sovereign, have you seen what backsliding Yasharal has done?
Have you seen what backsliding Yasharal, backsliding Ephraim has done? Read.
She has gone up on every high mountain and under every green tree, and there committed whoring. And after she had done all these, I said, return to me. But she did not return. And her treacherous sister Yahudah saw it.
And her treacherous sister Yahudah saw it. Read.
And I saw therefore all the causes for which backsliding Yasharal had committed adultery.
Yes.
I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce.
I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce, in which status she remains until this day. She can come back in the renewing of the covenant. The way had been paid. She can come back, but most of them have not, and most of them will not until after the great distress. Come on, read.
Yet her treacherous sister Yahudah did not fear.
Yet her treacherous sister Yahudah did not fear.
But went and committed whoring too.
But went and committed whoring too. Make no mistake here, Yahudah. Make no mistake. The only reason that the master did not divorce Yahudah was because of his promise that he made to sovereign Dawood, and that he would never lack a man to sit on the throne. And so that through Dawood, he could come in flesh and establish his throne, which was established through Dawood, that he could establish his throne forever in the earth. This is the only reason that he did not and has not divorced Yahudah. But Yahudah was put away, was sent from him, was sent from his presence, but not divorced in the way that Ephraim was divorced. Come on, read.
And it came to be through her frivolous whoring that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and wood. And yet for all this her treacherous sister Yahudah has not turned to me with all her heart, but falsely declares Yahudah. And Yahudah said to me, backsliding Yasharal has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Yahudah.
Backsliding Yasharal has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Yahudah. Indeed, treacherous Yahudah, the only reason he did not divorce us, he did not divorce treacherous Yahudah, is because of the covenant and the promise that he made to sovereign Dawood. For that reason and that reason alone. Nevertheless, Ephraim was divorced and still remains divorced until this day, and thus the scepter belongs to Yahudah. And thus, if you nations, you tribes, you nations of the world desire to escape the hour of trial which is soon to come upon the earth, you must attach yourself to Yahudah in this season. Come on, read, little one.
Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, Return, O backsliding Yasharal.
Return, O backsliding Yasharal. That message still goes forth this day to you nations. Return, O backsliding Yasharal. But you must now be joined to Yahudah, backsliding Yasharal. You must now join yourself to Yahudah, whom he never divorced, and of whom the dwelling place resides, and of whom he has never divorced. You must attach yourself to us if you desire to escape the hour of trial. Come on, read.
Declares Yahuwah, I shall not look on you in displeasure, for I am lovingly committed, declares Yahuwah, and I do not bear a grudge forever. Only acknowledge your crookedness, because you have transgressed against Yahuwah, your Elohim, and have scattered your ways to strangers under every green tree.
You can stop there. Barak Yahuwah. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. So Ephraim is divorced. Ephraim committed whoredom. Ephraim remains divorced until this day since 722 BCE. Ephraim, every nation, tribe, and tongue, has been divorced. Although Ephraim is firstborn, Ephraim, in accordance with Luke 15, the prodigal son, has gone into the nations, has gone amongst the Gentiles, and has squandered her possessions, has squandered the inheritance, and is now living as the nations, living amongst the nations as Gentiles, living in their uncleanness. Yahudah, on the other hand, of whom, true Yahudah, of whom he is sealing in this season, and of whom he has written the Torah upon our hearts. We are the light to the Gentiles. We are salt. We are salt, and we are the light to the Gentiles. We are to walk worthily of our call, so that some of them would attach themselves to us, so that some of them would be drawn to our light as moths are drawn to candles, and perhaps escape the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. The scepter will belong to Yahudah until Shiloh comes, until the Messiah comes and assumes his throne and unites the whole tribe of Yasharal, all 12 tribes, to where we are once again one nation and once again one Yasharal. Until then, there is Yahudah and there is Ephraim. You don't want to attach yourself to Ephraim. You want to attach yourself to Yahudah if you desire to be saved, and if you desire to have the covenant renewed first in you, and whereby being saved from the hour of trial. Give us another precept, little one.
Romans 7, 1 through 4.
Romans 7, verses 1 through 4. Romans 7, verses 1 through 4. We're going to kind of speed this up now a little bit, because we're already over 2 hours. And for the sake of YouTube, and for the sake of adults, because they have a short attention span, we're going to try and speed this up a little bit now. Romans 7, verses 1 through 4. Write this down. We're not going to wait on you. Romans 7, verses 1 through 4. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
Or do you not know, brothers? For I speak to those knowing the Torah.
Now, he's speaking to Yahudine here in Rome. He's speaking to Yahudine. Come on, read.
That the Torah rules over a man as long as he lives.
Yes.
For the married woman has been bound by Torah to the living husband. But if the husband dies, she is released from the Torah concerning her husband. So then while her husband lives, she shall be called an adulteress if she becomes another man's. But if her husband dies, she is free from that part of the Torah, so that she is not an adulteress, having become another man's. So my brothers, you also were put to death to the Torah through the body of Mashiach, for you too became another's, the one who was raised from the dead, that we should bear fruit to Elohim. Ephraim,
nations, you were divorced 722 BCE and sent to the nations. Yahudah, you were put away. There's a difference between divorce and being put away. You were put away in perhaps the year 70 AD and sent amongst the nations. But specifically now, you, Ephraim, since you were divorced in accordance with the Torah, particularly Devarim chapter 24, verses 1 through 4, since you have received a certificate of divorce, Ephraim, and you went amongst the nations and joined yourself with other husbands, in other words, joined yourself with other mighty ones, you cannot return to your first husband. That is a transgression of Torah and an abomination. You cannot return to the first husband. There is no way for you to come back to the first husband. Therefore, your first husband, he came and he assumed flesh, and he died, and he was impaled, and he was buried, and he was resurrected. But when he was resurrected as a renewed man, Ephraim. He was resurrected as a renewed man. Now you, Ephraim, can now be rejoined or remarry a renewed husband in a renewed covenant and be brought back into covenant with him. But guess what? This renewed husband, he came as a Yahudine. Yes, he did. He came as a Yahudine. When you attach yourself to this renewed husband, you attach yourself to Yahudah. He is a Yahudine. Yes, he is. He is a Yahudi. And when you attach yourself to Yahushua HaMashiach, who came in the flesh as a Yahudi, you attach yourself to Yahudah, whom the scepter shall not pass from Yahudah until Shilu comes. You must attach yourself to Yahudah if you desire to be kept from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. What we got left, little one?
We got Zechariah 8:23, Romans 2:28-29, Ezekiel 38. The whole chapter.
All right. We're going to save some of that for the fourth night. We're going to save some of that for the fourth night, Barak Yahuwah. We're going to save some of it for the fourth night, Barak Yahuwah. Give me the next two precepts.
Okay. Zechariah 8:23.
Zechariah 8:23. Zechariah 8:23. Zechariah 8:23. Zechariah chapter 8 verse 23. We've read this the previous two teachings, but it's important that we read it again. Zechariah chapter 8 verse 23. Zechariah chapter 8 verse 23. Reading verse 23. Read, little one.
Thus said Yahuwah of hosts. In those days, 10 men from all languages of the nations take hold.
10 men from all languages of the nations take hold. There are 10 lost tribes. This is Ephraim. 10 men from all nations take hold of a Yahudi. Read.
Yes, they shall take hold of the edge of the garment of a man.
Yes.
A Yahudi.
Yes.
Saying, let us go with you.
Let us go with you.
For we have heard that Elohim is with you. Ephraim
nations, you've got to grab the garment of Yahudi. If you desire to be saved from the hour of trial, if you desire to be brought back into covenant, you've got to grab the garment of Yahudi. Now this Yahudah is Yahusha. Primarily Yahusha. He is the one that restores you to covenant, who is a Yahudi. But you must also attach yourself to Yahudah if you desire to be saved from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. And indeed, not all who say that they are Yahudine are Yahudine. One last precept, and then we're going to read the rest. Possibly, Yahuwah willing, this coming forth night. Will Yahuwah willing complete this coming forth night. One more precept. What do we got, little one?
Romans 2:28 and 29.
Romans chapter 2. Write this down. Romans chapter 2. Romans chapter 2, verses 28 and 29. Romans chapter 2, verses 28 and 29. Romans chapter 2, verses 28 and 29. Come on, read for us, little one.
For he is not a Yahudi.
Listen, for he is not a Yahudi. Read.
Who is so outwardly.
For those of you who are depending on your genealogy. The master, no flesh shall boast before him. The flesh profits nothing. Yahudah, you must be born of Ruach. You must be born of water and of Ruach to be a true Yahudine. Come on, read.
Neither is circumcision that which is outward in the flesh. But a Yahudi is he who is so inwardly.
But a Yahudi is he who is one so inwardly, having the circumcision of the heart, having the Ruach HaKadosh indwelling him. This is a true Yahudine. Recognize, family. Recognize. And at least you join yourself to Ephraim. At least you find yourself in the valley of Oh no, saying, oh no, how in the world did I get here? Read, little one.
And circumcision is that of the heart in Ruach, not literally, whose praise is not from men, but from Elohim.
Barak Yahuwah. Thank you, Master.
Master.
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. The Master has sent me by to tell the nations and to tell his people that there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that has happened before is happening again. Everything that has happened before is happening again. The Master revealed something to his servant almost 2 years ago. He revealed something. And up until now, he has not given me permission to share it. But he's given me permission to share it with the nations and with you, Zoom family. Now, some of it. Some of it. With every generation, the Master raises up a leader to lead his people. I'm not worthy. I'm just flesh and blood. I'm just a lowly shepherd. I'm nothing. I do not seek importance. I do not seek a platform. I do not seek anything, any accolade from men. I care not. I desire to please my Master and my Master alone. But with every generation, the Master, he raises up a leader to lead his people. He raised up Masha to lead his people out of Egypt the first time to Mount Sinai. He's called me in this season. He's raised me up to lead his people out of Egypt to his mountain, to Mount Zion, and back to his land. As he called a servant to lead his people out of Egypt the first time, he's called me to lead his people, Yahudah, his eldest son, out of Egypt to his Kadesh mountain and back to the land. I pray that I'm found worthy of the calling. I pray that I'm found worthy to be pleasing unto my Master, that I'm found well doing when he comes. Some are not going to believe. It does not concern me. Whether you hear or whether you forbear, it makes no difference to me. I've known this for almost 2 years now, and yet I've not uttered a word. I've said nothing, because I desire not a platform. I desire not to be puffed up. I desire no importance. I desire no one to worship me. We worship Elohim and Elohim alone, and I still do not desire any worship from man. Elohim is our Master. Yahuwah is our Master, him and him alone. But he's only giving me permission now to share it with his people. For those of you who have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, this is from our Master. This is his doing. This is his choosing. And he does as he pleases. With that said, I thank you, Master, for the word that you've spoken through your servant on this day. I thank you for the revelation that you've given. I thank you for choosing this unworthy vessel, this earthen vessel, for your good pleasure and your desire. I am unworthy. It is my prayer this day, Master, that your word has gone forth as a hammer that shatters, that it is shattered, both chain and shackle and broken bars. It's my prayer that this word that has gone forth as a hammer that shatters, has shattered fallow ground, broken it up, such that this word, this seed, will be planted in soil that is fertilized and conducive to planting, so that you will come forth and water that seed, so that it grows and produces the fruit that leads to everlasting life. It is my prayer that this word has not fallen by the wayside, that it has not fallen on shallow ground, that it has not fallen amongst thorns, that it has not fallen void, but that it would go forth, my master, and accomplish that which you have sent it forth to do. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, my master, so be it, so be it, so be it. For those of you who are on YouTube, once again, we're grateful that the master has sent you our way. We pray that you would continue to come, continue to listen to the words of the master. We pray that you too will be kept from the hour of trial as his word continues to challenge you, edify you, and convict you. Once again, if you would desire to join us live, our contact information is located within the channel description. You'll find an email address located there. Until the next time, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you, show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it. So be it. So be it. Shalom.
Shalom.